Let's catch some bear. Absolute punishment. The Cinders did very well on Steam, and it's incredibly fun. If it is based on a fairly niche sport, join us we discuss the ways in which this pumps your adrenaline, and how the arguably small flaws are overcome with some lovely extreme gameplay in this Cheapness Affordable Gaming review of the Cinders. If only I had training wheels. Well, you know what they say, when you fall down you should get right back up again, because you have an adamantium skeleton. The world is created exclusively for downhill biking, mostly procedurally. That's the first trick the game pulls out, and you make your way through the campaign in a way similar to roguelikes, picking what node to go to next, that will randomly have different levels of steepness, more or less curves, and a different amount of stunt objects for you to survive. So first off, that means you can't memorize the track, can't perfect it, can't shave seconds off. Whatever rep points you earn on it, that's it. On to the next one. If you didn't destroy yourself, at best you can enter a seed and replay the track outside the main game. By the way, do you want to help me earn more rep? Then please consider liking and subscribing. Maybe comment your favorite extreme sports game. But no pressure though, I'm grateful you even watched. Sure, at the start I give you an aerial view and repeat it until you're ready, but hey, I'm not a rally driver, and I'm definitely not gonna commit this one track to memory, especially since if you don't bail, they're over quite quickly. It might genuinely take you longer to memorize it, and then you won't see it again when you start a new run. And that's assuming it goes smoothly. You do have lives, and each bail takes one or more of them, depending on how hard you eat dirt. You know, can it be included in a funny bails compilation, or would it have to be hidden from public view to prevent being distasteful? But honestly, most of them will not make the bails. An X-ray mode on this game would be horrifying, but instead they opted for some sound effects and no visible boo-boos. Once your lives run out, you have to restart, but you can regain some lives by selecting the correct node, or sometimes by completing bonus objectives on the track. So fortune favors the bold and boneless, and other nodes are harder for the glory. You lose extra lives, but you earn more rep. One of them forces you into first-person mode, which is awesome, but almost certainly will be disastrous. Imagine this in VR. In that case, it should come with a spew bucket attached, but still cool. You see your hands and the special decorative item. Thanks for watching up until this point. Please bear with it in the next 20 seconds. It's intro time. And I know what you're thinking, why not just go slow and steady, like that extreme BMXing tortoise from the Fables? You know, going to all the nodes in order to get as many lives as possible, as well as roguelike upgrades through the rep system. That will say increase the amount of checkpoints on the track, or improve your handling, depending on the crew member you choose. But they found a clever way of preventing you from doing that. If you take too long to reach the boss jump, it will get dark, probably making it too dangerous for you to do all nodes in a single run, unless you want to break a bone in the dark. And yes, you heard correctly, there's a boss jump requiring you to do some Evel Knievel stuff except without an engine. I doubt you'll be able to get this much air on a mega ramp, and if you succeed you move on to the next area, and if you complete the bonus objective during the boss jump 3 times, you unlock a shortcut until finally you complete the final area. After the run, if you collected enough rep, you unlock a piece of cosmetic gear, and if you get 50,000 rep in total, you unlock a different campaign mode with 4 more areas. But you know, the rep system kind of lacks in utility, because apart from these things, it is little use, because you can only get one roguelike crew member per node, and since you get rep for almost anything, I accrued way too much of it. But hey, it acts as a score, and gives a dopamine dosage to make the surprisingly easy to pull off backflips even more satisfying. If pulling one off in first person is spectacular, but actually the tricks are not the main draw. Instead, it's the incredible sense of speed this game delivers. You narrowly missing an obstacle, the gravelly noise as you slide, slow down or perform tight turns. Which feels great, rep included. Sure, you can slow down in a measured way, and even avoid stunts. There's no penalty for that. But come on, surely that defeats the point. If you can't get there fast, don't get there at all. Oh, you want me to constantly accelerate? I kind of already do that. You don't even have to stick to the road, as long as you don't get lost and don't die. With all those trees, the forest area is the most dangerous, even though it's only the second one. The only real gameplay issue it has is that when you get massive air, usually you have very little control over whether you live or die. And gameplay Gameplay-wise, that's about it. Focused in purpose, but fun enough to click. Or maybe just have some fun in the non-procedurally generated stages, where it can break the laws of physics. Can a bicycle even reach these speeds? Yes, during freefall at least. Or maybe take part in an incredibly frustrating obstacle course. If you hate yourself. This optional fun is about the only distraction, really, as it doesn't have a story. Not particularly surprising. I mean, there are the unlockable cosmetics I talk about, but they are quite dry. This game takes itself surprisingly seriously. It's mostly branded biking gear, of what I'm assuming are made-up brands. So dry that unlocking some skater's flannel was a breath of fresh air. But it's not all so dour. Eventually, you will be granted some levity if you're so inclined. And amusingly, even though you always wear a helmet, you can still pick your rider's hairstyle, because that extra inch can really add personality. But you can't, unfortunately, put a card in the spokes. But why would you want to interfere with that gnarly, rattling wheel whirl that you hear at high speeds? Another lovely noise to add to that skid noise that makes it feel more tactile. And the music's great too. It's sympathetic drum and bass. More calming than aggressive, so don't be expecting the kind of music you would have heard on a game of this sort during the early noughties. And visually, I suppose it does look good, especially in the more forested areas. Take away focus from ground textures, but sometimes you will see the foibles of procedural generation dull through, and that leads us to unrefinement, as you can definitely see visual issues on the pre-made tracks. Repeating textures on large patches of land. Is this the way to Appalachian Hogwarts? And when it comes to the bonus career, some of their boss jumps can be hard to make because you can catch on something. It took me about 17 hours to reach the end of the career mode and the bonus career mode. I chose that as a stopping point, even though technically there was more gear to unlock, and the game is cheap on Steam. Full price, 149 Rand 99 cents, 37 Rand 49 cents on sale. That's 2 Rand 21 cents per hour of gameplay, which is quite good. But the download, it is kind of big, because it takes up 13.83 gigabytes on the hard drive. But it's not the easiest game to run. I did test it on the Warhorse, but it was dreadfully and painfully laggy. Long load, long exit, Steam crashed at some point. But if you drastically decrease the graphics, like 600 x 800 windowed mode, you get something a desperate person would probably call playable. Can even reach 27, 28 FPS, which is a tad surprising on the Warhorse. It will jolt at certain occasions, like crossing finish line, and obviously there will be an incredible decrease in graphical fidelity. This time, it's not my MacGyvered system for recording on the Warhorse. Stereotypically, it's kid-friendly, I'd say. No world destruction tour stuff here. The game has good visuals. There are some issues. Procedural generation foibles at times. The pre-made tracks have noticeable issues, but generally they make these barren areas look pretty good. Not always, but I'd say there's more good than bad here. It looks good enough that you don't really notice the lack of people. It has good audio and music, the tactile sliding noise, the bike whirl at speed, crashing into something, plus the sympathetic drum and bass that calms you down as much as it can after a bale makes you boil. It has great tight gameplay with an immense sense of speed. The stunting's good too, and you can take different approaches. Go off-road, slow down a bit, but honestly, going fast is the most fun. The only real gameplay issue it has is when stunt jumps give you massive air. There are a lot of situations where it's impossible for you to land without dying, and it's a unique usage of roguelike mechanics. Works well with downhill biking. It even has secret nodes, but I never saw one because it requires you to go out of the way, and if you go to too many nodes, things get dark, which was too tricky for me to try. Maybe it's too easy to unlock a roguelike crew member through the rep system. I mean, I had way too much rep, and it has a great deal of optional pre-made tracks if you just want to play around. On the maybe side, unsurprisingly, the game has no story, and the cosmetics are drip-fed to you fairly slowly, and they're quite dry by and large. Branded and a bit boring. And on the con side, it has unrefinements, especially in the extra content. I'm guessing that the community made some of the extra maps, and in Career Plus mode, some of the boss stunts are really hard to actually pull off. Come on, play it. It's brilliant, but unfortunately, there's no boss jump that asks you to jump the shark. Although maybe if I played longer, I would unlock a shark costume and jump something else.